Debt-free or die trying. The unfiltered path to owning your life. Trapped by debt? Feeling like your life's on a leash, every paycheck stolen by bills? What if you could break free, forever? Stick with me, and I'll show you the raw, unfiltered path to owning your life, no matter how deep you're in. This isn't just about paying off debt, it's about reclaiming your freedom, your peace, your future. By the end of this audio, you'll have a battle-tested plan to crush your debt, outsmart the system that keeps you broke, and build a life where you call the shots. No fluff, no fairy tales, just real strategies that work. Listen to the end, and you'll feel unstoppable, ready to fight for a debt-free life that's yours, not the bank's. Want more hard-hitting tips to take control of your money and life? Hit that subscribe button now and join the fight for financial freedom. You're staring at a bank statement that feels like a punch to the gut. Numbers screaming at you in red. Each digit a reminder of the chains tying you to a life you don't fully own. Your paycheck vanishes before you can even dream about it, swallowed by bills, loans, and that credit card you swore you'd pay off last year. You're not living, you're surviving, tethered to a system that thrives on keeping you in debt. But what if you could break free? What if you could claw your way out, not with some glossy, feel-good plan, but with raw, unfiltered determination to own your life? No matter what it takes. This isn't about quick fixes or fairy tale promises. This is about the gritty, sometimes brutal path to becoming debt-free, where the only options are freedom or bust. The idea of being debt-free isn't just about having a zero balance on your credit card or paying off your student loans. It's about reclaiming your freedom, your choices, your future. It's about waking up one day and realizing you don't owe anyone anything, not a bank, not a lender, not even that friend who spotted you cash when times were tight. It's about living life on your terms, not the terms of a payment plan. But let's be real. Getting there is a war. It's a battle against habits, temptations, and a world that's practically engineered to keep you in the red. The path to debt-free living is messy, unglamorous, and demands a level of discipline most people shy away from. Yet, for those who commit, it's a path that leads to something rare, true financial independence. Let's start with the ugly truth. Debt is everywhere, and it's not an accident. The average person is bombarded with messages that normalize borrowing. Buy now, pay later. 0% interest for 12 months. Upgrade your phone, your car, your life. Just sign here. Credit card companies, banks, and retailers aren't in the business of making your life better. They're in the business of making money off you. The average American household carries over $6,000 in credit card debt alone, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. Student loans, car payments, mortgages, medical bills, the numbers stack up fast. According to recent data, total U.S. consumer debt is pushing past $17 trillion. That's not a typo. Trillion. You're not just fighting your own bad habits. You're up against a system that's rigged to keep you spending what you don't have. So why do we fall for it? Because debt is seductive. It's the instant gratification of a new gadget, a shiny car, or a degree that promises a better future. It's the illusion of having it all without the weight. But every time you swipe that card or sign that loan, you're trading a piece of your future for a hit of the present. The real cost isn't just the interest piling up. It's the mental weight, the stress, the constant feeling of being one missed payment away from disaster. You know that sinking feeling when a bill arrives, and you're not sure how you'll cover it. That's not freedom, that's a cage. Breaking free starts with a mindset shift. You have to decide that enough is enough. No one's going to hand you a debt-free life on a silver platter. You have to want it more than you want the temporary highs of spending. This isn't about deprivation or living like a monk. It's about prioritizing what actually matters over what society tells you to chase. The first step is brutal honesty with yourself. Sit down, grab a pen, and write down every single debt you owe. Credit cards, student loans, car payments, that personal loan from your cousin, everything. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't round down. Seeing the total number might make you want to throw up, and that's okay. That nausea is your wake-up call. Once you've got the number, you need a plan. Not some vague resolution to spend less, but a real, actionable strategy. There are two popular approaches to paying off debt: the snowball method and the avalanche method. The snowball method, popularized by personal finance gurus like Dave Ramsey, focuses on paying off your smallest debts first, regardless of interest rates. The idea is psychological. You get quick wins, build momentum, and stay motivated. The avalanche method, on the other hand, prioritizes debts with the highest interest rates first, saving you money in the long run. Both have their merits, but the key is picking one and sticking to it. The snowball method feels good early on, especially if you're drowning in multiple debts and need a spark of hope. The avalanche method makes more mathematical sense, especially if you've got high-interest credit card debt eating you alive at 20% APR or more. Choose what fits your personality, but don't overthink it, just start. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, your spending habits. If you're in debt, it's likely because you've been living beyond your means. Harsh? Maybe. True? Almost certainly. Track every penny you spend for a month? Apps like Mint or YNAB can help, but a simple spreadsheet works too. You'll be shocked at how much goes to coffee runs, takeout, or that subscription you forgot you even had. The goal isn't to shame yourself, it's to see where your money's actually going. Once you've got a clear picture, it's time to cut. Ruthlessly. Cancel subscriptions you don't use. Cook at home. Shop at thrift stores. If it's not essential, it's on the chopping block. This isn't about never enjoying life again, it's about redirecting every spare dollar toward killing your debt. But cutting expenses only gets you so far. If you want to accelerate your debt-free journey, you need to increase your income. This is where most people roll their eyes and say, easier said than done. Sure, it's not simple, but it's doable. Ask for a raise if you've been killing it at work. Pick up a side hustle. Drive for a rideshare app, freelance, sell stuff you don't need. In 2025, the gig economy is booming, with platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, and TaskRabbit offering endless ways to make extra cash. If you've got a skill, writing, graphic design, coding, even dog walking, someone out there will pay for it. The extra income isn't for splurging, it's for throwing at your debt like a missile. Let's pause for a reality check. This process isn't fun. It's not sexy. There will be days when you want to quit, when your friends are posting about their vacations or new cars, and you're eating rice and beans to save $20. You'll feel like you're missing out, and the temptation to slip back into old habits will be real. That's why you need a why. Why are you doing this? Is it to retire early? To start a business? To give your kids a better life? To finally sleep without worrying about bills? Write it down. Stick it on your fridge. Remind yourself daily. Your why is your anchor when the going gets tough, and it will. One thing that trips people up is the unexpected. Life doesn't care about your debt payoff plan. Cars break down. Medical bills pop up. Your dog eats a sock and needs emergency surgery. Without an emergency fund, these curveballs can derail you, forcing you to borrow more and undoing your progress. Even if it's just $500, start building a small safety net as you pay off debt. It sounds counterintuitive, saving while you owe money, but it's a buffer that keeps you from falling back into the debt trap. Aim for $1,000, then grow it later once your debts are gone. Speaking of traps, let's talk about credit cards. They're not inherently evil, but they're dangerous if you're not disciplined. If you're serious about going debt-free, consider cutting them up. Not closing the accounts. That can hurt your credit score, but physically destroying the cards so you can't use them. Pay with cash or a debit card. It's harder to overspend when you're handing over actual money or seeing your bank balance drop in real time. If you must keep a credit card for emergencies, lock it away somewhere inconvenient, like a safe deposit box. The goal is to break the cycle of relying on credit for everyday life. Now, let's address the emotional side of debt. It's not just numbers on a page. It's shame, anxiety, even guilt. You might feel like a failure for getting into debt in the first place, especially if you were raised to believe financial struggles are a personal flaw. Let that go. Debt doesn't define you. It's a problem, not your identity. Talk to someone you trust, a friend, a partner, a financial counselor. There's no shame in asking for help, and sometimes just saying the numbers out loud takes away their power. If you're married or in a relationship, get on the same page with your partner. Debt can strain relationships if one of you is all in while the other's still swiping the card. Unity is strength here. Another hurdle is the comparison game. Social media is a minefield. Everyone's life looks perfect, curated, and debt-free. But you don't see their bank statements. You don't see the stress behind the filters. Unfollow accounts that make you feel inadequate or tempt you to spend. Surround yourself with people who support your goals, not ones who pressure you to keep up. If your friends mock you for skipping happy hour to save money, find new friends. Your financial freedom is worth more than their approval. Let's talk about big debts, like student loans or mortgages. These can feel overwhelming, like you'll be paying them off forever. For student loans, look into refinancing if you can get a lower interest rate, but be cautious. Federal loans come with protections like income-driven repayment plans that private loans don't. If you're drowning in student debt, check if you qualify for forgiveness programs like public service loan forgiveness, though the process can be a bureaucratic nightmare. For mortgages, consider making extra payments toward the principal if your budget allows. It can shave years off your loan term. But don't stretch yourself so thin that you're back to relying on credit cards for groceries. What about investing while paying off debt? It's a hot debate. Some say you should invest early to take advantage of compound interest, especially in a 401k with an employer match. Others argue that the psychological and financial burden of debt outweighs potential investment gains, especially if your debt's interest rate is higher than what you'd earn in the market. A middle ground might be contributing just enough to get your employer's 401k match. Free money is hard to pass up, while throwing every other spare dollar at your debt. Once you're debt-free, you can go all in on investing. Let's not ignore lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, and suddenly you need a better car, a bigger house, or fancier clothes. It's human nature to want to reward yourself, but this is how people stay trapped in debt. If your income goes up, pretend it didn't. Funnel the extra money into your debt payoff or emergency fund. Live like you're still broke until you're actually free. It's not glamorous, but it works. One strategy that can help is visualizing your progress. Create a debt payoff chart. Color in a box for every $100 or $1,000 you pay off. Stick it somewhere you'll see it daily. Watching those boxes fill up is a reminder that you're moving forward, even when it feels slow. Celebrate the small wins, like paying off a credit card or hitting the halfway mark on a loan. Just don't celebrate with a shopping spree. Let's talk about the long game. Being debt-free isn't the end, it's the beginning. Once you've paid off your debts, you're not just free from payments, you're free to build wealth, take risks, and live intentionally. Maybe you want to start a business, travel the world, or retire early. Without debt, those dreams aren't just fantasies, they're possibilities. But you have to protect your progress. Keep your emergency fund stocked. Stick to a budget, even when you're tempted to loosen up. And stay vigilant against the creeping lure of easy credit. The world will keep trying to pull you back in. Advertisers will tempt you. Lenders will offer you pre-approved cards. Even well-meaning friends might push you to live a little. But every time you say no, you're saying yes to something bigger, your freedom, your peace, your life. The debt-free path isn't easy. It's a grind. It's sacrifice. It's telling yourself no when everyone else is saying yes. But it's also empowerment, clarity, and the kind of freedom that comes from knowing you own your life, not a bank. Keep going. You're not just paying off debt, you're taking back control. The journey to becoming debt-free is like running a marathon through a storm, grueling, relentless, but transformative if you keep pushing forward. You've already faced the raw truth of your financial situation, mapped out a plan, and started slashing expenses while boosting income. But the path doesn't get easier just because you've begun. If anything, the deeper you go, the more you realize how much of your life has been shaped by debt's invisible grip. This isn't just about paying off loans or clearing credit card balances, it's about rewriting the rules of your existence, dismantling the habits and mindsets that got you here, and building a life where you call the shots. The stakes are high, and the road is long, but every step you take is a rebellion against a system that thrives on your servitude. Let's dive into the mental game, because that's where most people falter. Debt isn't just a financial problem, it's a psychological one. It's the voice in your head that whispers you're not good enough because you're still paying for that degree you never used or that car you couldn't afford. It's the anxiety that spikes when you check your bank account and see it dwindling before payday. To win this fight, you have to rewire how you think about money. Start by reframing debt as a challenge, not a death sentence. You're not a victim of your circumstances. You're a warrior taking them on. This shift sounds simple, but it's profound. Instead of saying, "I'm drowning in debt," try, "I'm fighting my way out." Words shape your reality, and a small change in language can spark a massive change in mindset. Now, let's talk about temptation, because it's everywhere. The world is designed to make you spend. Walk into any store, scroll any app, and you're hit with ads crafted by psychologists and data scientists who know exactly how to trigger your impulses. That limited time offer, or exclusive deal, isn't a gift, it's a trap. One of the hardest parts of going debt-free is learning to say no, not just to big purchases but to the small, sneaky ones that add up. That $5 latte doesn't seem like much, but 5 of them a week is $1,300 a year. Enough to pay off a chunk of debt or fund an emergency savings account. Start practicing delayed gratification. Want something? Put it on a list and wait 30 days. If you still need it, and can pay cash, then consider it. Most of the time, the urge will pass, and you'll realize you didn't need it at all. Let's get practical with budgeting, because without one, you're flying blind. A budget isn't a punishment, it's a battle plan. Think of it as telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. The 50-30-20 rule is a solid starting point. 50% of your income goes to necessities, housing, utilities, food, 30% to wants, entertainment, dining out, and 20% to savings and debt repayment. If you're deep in debt, flip that script, slash the wants to 10% or less and throw every extra penny at your debt. Apps like EveryDollar or PocketGuard can help you track spending, but don't rely on tech alone. Get intimate with your numbers. Review your budget weekly, not monthly. Adjust as needed. If you overspend in one area, cut another. It's not about perfection, it's about control. One tactic that can supercharge your progress is the art of negotiation. Most people don't realize how much wiggle room there is in their bills. Call your internet provider, cable company, or phone carrier and ask for a better rate. Be polite but firm. Mention competitor offers or your loyalty as a customer. Data from 2025 shows that nearly 80% of people who negotiate their bills get some kind of discount, often saving hundreds a year. You can also negotiate medical bills. Hospitals often charge inflated rates, but many will reduce the balance or offer payment plans if you ask. Every dollar you save is a dollar you can throw at your debt. Now, let's tackle the side hustle game, because extra income is a game changer. In 2025, the opportunities to make money outside your 9-to-5 are endless, thanks to the gig economy and digital platforms. If you've got a car, consider delivering for DoorDash or Uber Eats during peak hours. Weekend evenings can net you $20 to $30 an hour in many cities. If you're creative, platforms like Etsy let you sell handmade goods, while sites like Teachable allow you to create and sell online courses if you've got expertise to share. Even micro gigs, like answering surveys on Swagbucks or testing websites on user testing, can add up. The key is to treat your side hustle like a job, not a hobby. Set a schedule, track your earnings, and funnel every cent toward your debt. A barista gig pulling in $200 a week could mean $10,400 a year. Enough to wipe out a credit card or make a serious dent in a student loan. But here's a hard truth. Side hustles can burn you out if you're not careful. You're already stretched thin, balancing work, life, and the stress of debt. To avoid crashing, set boundaries. Work your hustle 10 to 15 hours a week, max, and guard your rest like it's sacred. Sleep deprivation and stress make you sloppy with money, and that's a recipe for backsliding. If you're feeling overwhelmed, scale back and focus on efficiency. Choose gigs with the highest hourly return for the least effort. For example, tutoring online through platforms like tutor.com often pays better than retail side jobs and requires less physical energy. Let's talk about your social circle, because it matters more than you think. If you're surrounded by big spenders who pressure you to split $200 dinner bills or join expensive group trips, you're fighting an uphill battle. Be upfront about your goals. Say, I'm working on getting debt-free, so I'm cutting back for now. Real friends will respect that. If they don't, it's time to rethink those relationships. Seek out like-minded people. Join online communities or local groups focused on financial independence. Reddit's r personal finance or local meetups for frugal living can connect you with others who get it. Having a tribe that cheers your progress instead of tempting you to spend is a secret weapon. Now, let's address the big picture. Your career. If you're stuck in a low-paying job with no growth potential, you're capping your ability to crush your debt. In 2025, the job market is competitive, but opportunities are out there if you're willing to pivot. Upskilling is easier than ever with free or low-cost courses on platforms like Coursera, Udemy, or even YouTube. Learn high-demand skills like coding, digital marketing, or data analysis, fields where entry-level salaries often start at $60,000 or more. If a full career change feels daunting, look for certifications that boost your value in your current field. A project management certification like PMP can bump your salary by 20% or more, according to recent industry reports. Invest in yourself, but be strategic. Don't take on new debt for expensive degrees unless the ROI is crystal clear. One area people often overlook is taxes. If you're not maximizing your tax return, you're leaving money on the table. Look into credits and deductions you might qualify for, like the Earned Income Tax Credit if your income is low, or deductions for student loan interest. If you're self-employed through a side hustle, track every business expense, mileage, equipment, even a portion of your home internet bill. Use free tax software like TurboTax or consult a professional if your situation's complex. A bigger refund can mean a bigger debt payment, so don't sleep on this. Let's pivot to the emotional roller coaster of paying off debt. There will be highs. Like the day you pay off your first credit card and feel like you've summited Everest. But there will also be lows. Weeks where you barely make a dent, or when an unexpected expense wipes out your progress. This is where resilience comes in. Celebrate the wins, no matter how small. Paid off $500. Treat yourself to something free, like a hike or a movie night at home. Hit a major milestone, like clearing a $5,000 loan, share it with your support network. They'll remind you why you're doing this. But when setbacks hit, don't spiral. Acknowledge the frustration, then refocus. One bad month doesn't undo your progress, giving up does. Another trap to avoid is the "I deserve it" mindset. After months of grinding, you might feel entitled to splurge, a new phone, a weekend getaway, whatever. But those splurges can unravel your hard work. Instead, find free or cheap ways to reward yourself. Borrow books from the library instead of buying them. Host potlucks instead of dining out. Rediscover hobbies that don't cost a dime, like running, journaling, or learning a new skill online. The goal is to fill your life with meaning, not stuff. The less you need to feel happy, the less power debt has over you. Let's talk about big-ticket debts again, because they're often the scariest. Student loans, for instance, can feel like a life sentence. In 2025, the average student loan debt is hovering around $40,000, with some borrowers owing six figures. If you're in this boat, explore income-driven repayment plans if you have federal loans. They cap payments at a percentage of your income, though they extend the loan term. Forgiveness programs like PSLF are still around, but they're notoriously tricky. Only about 2% of applicants get approved due to paperwork errors or eligibility issues. If you're pursuing forgiveness, triple-check your employer's status and loan type, and submit annual certifications to stay on track. For private loans, refinancing can lower your rate, but shop around. Online lenders like Sophie or Earnest often beat traditional banks. Mortgages are another beast. If you're a homeowner, your mortgage is likely your biggest debt, but it's also considered good debt because it's tied to an asset that, hopefully, appreciates. Still, paying it off early can save you tens of thousands in interest. Even one extra payment a year can cut years off your loan. Just make sure your lender applies extra payments to the principal, not future interest. If you're renting and dreaming of buying, Hold off until you're debt-free and have a solid emergency fund. Homeownership is a wealth builder, but only if you're not stretched so thin that a single repair sends you back to credit cards. Medical debt is a wild card. In the US, it's one of the leading causes of bankruptcy, with over 60% of bankruptcies tied to medical bills. If you're hit with a big bill, don't ignore it. Hospitals often send debts to collections faster than you'd expect. Call the billing department immediately and negotiate. Many offer charity care programs for low-income patients or will settle for less if you pay up front. If you're insured, double-check that the bill was processed correctly. Errors are common and can inflate your costs. If you're uninsured, ask for the cash pay rate. It's often lower than the insured rate. Let's touch on credit scores, because they're a double-edged sword. Paying off debt can improve your score by lowering your credit utilization, the percentage of available credit you're using, but closing accounts can hurt it by shortening your credit history. If you're planning to buy a house or car soon, check your score on free sites like Credit Karma and focus on paying down revolving debt, like credit cards, without closing accounts. But if you're years away from needing credit, don't obsess over your score. The goal is to need credit less, not to game the system for a perfect 850. Another key to staying on track is automation. Set up automatic payments for your debts to avoid late fees, which can add hundreds to your balance over time. If you're using the snowball or avalanche method, automate minimum payments on all debts, then manually throw extra cash at your target debt. Automate savings, too. Even $50 a month into an emergency fund adds up. By removing the need to remember to save or pay, you reduce decision fatigue and stay consistent. Let's talk about the bigger picture again, your values. Debt often comes from chasing a lifestyle that doesn't align with who you are. Society pushes the narrative that happiness comes from owning more, a bigger house, a newer car, the latest tech. But studies show that after basic needs are met, more stuff doesn't make you happier. Experiences, relationships, and freedom do. As you pay off debt, reflect on what you actually want. Is it time to pursue a passion? Security for your family? The ability to walk away from a toxic job? Align your spending with your values, and you'll find it easier to say no to things that don't matter. One practical way to stay grounded is to practice gratitude. It sounds cheesy, but it works. Each day, write down 3 things you're thankful for that didn't cost money. A walk with your dog, a call with a friend, a quiet moment with a book. Gratitude rewires your brain to focus on what you have, not what you lack. It's a shield against the consumerist urge to buy happiness. Over time, you'll notice you're less tempted by the shiny distractions that fueled your debt in the first place. Let's not ignore the role of community resources. In 2025, libraries, community centers, and nonprofits offer free tools to help you get debt-free. Many libraries provide access to financial planning software or workshops on budgeting. Nonprofits like the National Foundation for Credit Counseling offer low-cost debt management plans, where they negotiate lower interest rates with your creditors and consolidate your payments. These programs aren't perfect. They often charge small fees and can take years, but they're a lifeline if you're overwhelmed. Just vet any organization carefully. Scams posing as debt relief are rampant. Another angle to explore is bartering. In a cash-strapped world, trading skills or goods can save you money. Need a website for your side hustle? Offer to edit someone's resume in exchange. Got a green thumb? Swap garden veggies for a neighbor's home-cooked meals. Bartering communities on platforms like Nextdoor or local Facebook groups are thriving in 2025, especially in tight-knit neighborhoods. It's a way to get what you need without dipping into your debt payoff fund. Let's address the temptation to borrow more while paying off debt. It's easy to justify, just this once, for a car repair or a necessary purchase. But every new loan sets you back. If you're in a pinch, explore alternatives first. Can you borrow a tool instead of buying it? Can you carpool while saving for a repair? If you must borrow, exhaust every option before turning to high-interest credit cards or payday loans, which can charge 400% APR or more. Credit unions often offer low-interest personal loans or hardship programs for members. Join one if you haven't already. Please subscribe to this channel and enable the notification bell so you'll be alerted whenever we upload a new video. As you chip away at your debt, you'll start to notice something: momentum. The first $1,000 you pay off feels impossible, but the next $1,000 comes faster. This is where the snowball method shines. Those small wins stack up, and suddenly you're tackling bigger debts with confidence. Track your progress visually. A debt thermometer, where you color in your progress, can be weirdly motivating. Share your milestones with a trusted friend or online community, but be selective. Some people will rain on your parade out of jealousy or discomfort. Surround yourself with cheerleaders, not critics. Let's talk about the endgame again, because it's easy to lose sight of why you're doing this. Being debt-free isn't just about zero balances, it's about options. Without debt, you can take a lower-paying job you love, start a business, or move to a new city without worrying about how you'll cover the bills. You can save aggressively, invest, or give generously. In 2025, the FIRE, financial independence, retire early movement is still growing, with people in their 30s and 40s retiring on modest incomes because they live debt-free and invest smartly. Even if early retirement isn't your goal, the principles, living below your means, saving aggressively, prioritizing freedom, apply. But freedom comes with responsibility. Once you're debt-free, the habits that got you there, budgeting, saving, saying no to impulse buys, had to stick. Lifestyle inflation is still a risk. A 2025 survey found that 60% of people who pay off debt fall back into it within 5 years because they revert to old habits. Don't be that statistic. Keep your budget tight, even when you're tempted to treat yourself for being debt-free. Build a robust emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of expenses is the gold standard. Start investing if you haven't already. Even $100 a month in a low-cost index fund can grow to millions over decades, thanks to compound interest. The debt-free journey also teaches you resilience that spills into other areas of life. The discipline it takes to skip happy hour, negotiate bills, or work a side hustle late at night builds character. You'll find yourself more confident, more resourceful, less afraid of failure. That's because you've already faced one of the scariest things: your own financial mess, and come out stronger. This confidence can push you to take risks, like asking for a promotion, starting a side business, or even repairing strained relationships. Debt-free living isn't just about money. It's about becoming a better version of yourself. Let's circle back to the system that got you here. The economy, the culture, the endless ads, they're not going away. In 2025, buy now pay later schemes are more pervasive than ever, with companies like Affirm and Klarna embedding themselves in every checkout page. These aren't deals, they're debt in disguise. Stay vigilant. Unsubscribe from marketing emails. Block ads on your browser. Curate your social media to avoid influencers pushing products you don't need. The less you're exposed to the noise, the easier it is to stay focused. One final thought before we continue. This journey is yours. Not your parents', not your partner's, not your friends'. You're doing this for you. For the peace, the freedom, the life you want. There will be moments when it feels impossible, when the numbers don't budge, or when life throws a curveball. But every payment, every sacrifice, every no to temptation is a step toward owning your life. You're not just paying off debt. You're buying your future. Keep fighting. You're worth it. The debt-free journey is a crucible, forging you into someone who doesn't just survive but thrives under pressure. You've already faced the raw reality of your financial situation, crafted a battle plan, and started rewiring your habits. But this path isn't a straight line. It's a gauntlet of tests, temptations, and unexpected twists. The deeper you go, the more you realize that becoming debt-free isn't just about clearing balances. It's about dismantling a lifetime of conditioning, defying a culture that profits from your servitude, and claiming a life where you're the one in control. This is where the rubber meets the road, where grit meets opportunity, and where you decide whether you'll settle for good enough or fight for true freedom. Let's dive into the psychological warfare of debt repayment, because your mind can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. The constant grind, cutting expenses, working extra hours, saying no to things you want, can wear you down. Doubt creeps in. You start wondering if it's worth it, if you'll ever get there, or if you're just destined to be that person who's always in debt. This is where you need to armor up mentally. One powerful tactic is visualization. Picture your life debt-free. No bills looming, no anxiety over unexpected expenses, just the freedom to make choices without a bank breathing down your neck. Create a vision board, physical or digital, with images of what freedom means to you. A paid-off house, a dream trip, a stress-free retirement. Look at it daily. This isn't woo-woo nonsense, it's a reminder of why you're fighting, especially on days when you want to quit. Another mental hack is to break your debt into smaller chunks. A $50,000 student loan can feel like a mountain you'll never climb, but $5,000–$10,000 milestones are manageable. Celebrate each one. Not with spending, but with something meaningful. Write yourself a letter about how far you've come and seal it to read when you're fully debt-free. Or share your progress with a trusted friend who gets it. These micro-victories keep you from burning out. Studies in behavioral psychology show that small, frequent rewards boost motivation more than waiting for one big payoff. Your brain needs those hits of dopamine to stay in the game. Now, let's talk about the external pressures, because the world doesn't stop trying to derail you. In 2025, consumerism is a high-octane machine. Algorithms know your weaknesses. Those ads for sneakers or tech gadgets that pop up right after you think about them aren't random. They're designed to exploit your impulses. One way to fight back is to go analog. Pay with cash whenever possible. Studies show people spend up to 20% less when using cash because it's tangible. You feel the pain of parting with it. If cash isn't practical, use a debit card tied to a checking account with a strict budget. Freeze your credit cards in a block of ice if you have to. The inconvenience of thawing them out forces you to think twice before swiping. Let's get tactical with your budget again, because it's your lifeline. If the 50-30-20ths rule feels too rigid, try the envelope system. Label envelopes, or digital equivalents, for each expense category, groceries, rent, debt payments, etc. And allocate cash or funds for the month. Once an envelope's empty, you're done spending in that category. It's brutal but effective, especially for variable expenses like dining out or entertainment. If you're tech-savvy, apps like GoodBudget digitize this method, letting you track envelopes on your phone. The key is accountability. Review your spending every Sunday night. Did you overspend on groceries? Cut back on gas or entertainment next week. This constant tweaking keeps you nimble and in control. One area people often overlook is their housing costs. Rent or mortgage payments are typically your biggest expense, eating up 30–50% of your income. If you're serious about crushing debt, consider drastic measures. Can you move to a cheaper apartment? Get a roommate? If you own a home, could you rent out a room on Airbnb or to a long-term tenant? In 2025, the housing market is still tight, with rents and home prices high in many cities. Downsizing or relocating to a lower-cost area could save you thousands a year. For example, moving from a high-cost city like San Francisco to a mid-tier city like Raleigh could cut your rent by 40% while maintaining a decent quality of life. Run the numbers. What you save could wipe out a credit card in months. Transportation is another budget killer. The average car payment in 2025 is over $700 a month, and that's before gas, insurance, and maintenance. If you're locked into a car loan, consider selling the vehicle and buying a reliable used car for cash. Sites like Carvana or local dealerships make this easier than ever, though you'll need to research to avoid overpaying. If you live in a city with decent public transit, ditch the car altogether. Biking or carpooling can also slash costs. One person I know sold their $30,000 SUV, bought a $5,000 used hatchback, and used the $25,000 difference to pay off 2 credit cards. It's not glamorous, but it's freedom. Let's talk about boosting income again, because the more you earn, the faster you kill your debt. Side hustles are great, but don't sleep on your primary career. In 2025, remote and hybrid jobs are still in demand, and many offer higher pay than traditional in-office roles. Check sites like LinkedIn or Indeed for opportunities in your field. If you're underpaid, research your market value on Glassdoor or PayScale and make a case for a raise. Prep a list of your accomplishments. Quantify them if possible, like increased sales by 15%, or streamlined processes, saving 10 hours a week. If your employer won't budge, start looking elsewhere. Job hopping can boost your salary by 10 to 20% in some industries, according to recent data. Just don't let lifestyle inflation eat the difference. If you're entrepreneurial, 2025 is a goldmine for starting a micro business. Platforms like Shopify make it easy to launch an online store with minimal upfront costs. Got a knack for photography? Sell prints or offer services on Thumbtack? Love animals? Pet sitting through Rover can pull in $500 to $1,000 a month for part-time work. The key is to start small and scale fast. Reinvest early profits into your business to grow it, but don't let it distract from your debt payoff. Every dollar from your side gig should hit your debt like a sledgehammer. Let's address the social fallout of going debt-free, because it can be isolating. Your friends might not get why you're skipping brunches or declining destination weddings. Family might pressure you to help out with loans or gifts you can't afford. Be honest but firm. Say, I'm working on a big financial goal right now, so I'm keeping things low-key. Most people will respect your hustle, even if they don't fully understand it. If they push back, set boundaries. You don't owe anyone an explanation for prioritizing your future. Seek out new connections who share your values. Maybe a coworker who's also into frugal living or an online community like the Choose FI podcast forums. These allies will keep you grounded when the pressure to conform hits hard. Now, let's tackle the unexpected, because life loves to throw curveballs. A 2025 study found that 60% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing. That's why your emergency fund is non-negotiable, even while paying off debt. Start with $1,000, then aim for 3 months' expenses once your high-interest debts are gone. Keep it in a high-yield savings account. Online banks like Ally or Marcus by Goldman Sachs offer 4 to 5% interest in 2025, turning your $1,000 into $1,050 with no effort. If an emergency hits, use the fund, then rebuild it before resuming debt payments. This buffer keeps you from falling back into the debt cycle when your car breaks down or your kid needs braces. Let's talk about debt consolidation, because it's a tempting option but not a cure-all. Consolidation loans or balance transfer cards with 0% intro APRs can lower your interest rates, giving you breathing room. But they come with risks, fees, strict repayment terms, and the temptation to rack up new debt on the now empty cards. If you go this route, shop around for the best terms. Credit unions often beat big banks on rates, and sites like NerdWallet compare offers in real time. Only consolidate if you're disciplined enough to stick to your plan and not borrow more. Otherwise, it's like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Another overlooked strategy is leveraging your community. In 2025, mutual aid networks are thriving, especially in urban areas. These grassroots groups share resources, tools, skills, even food, to help members save money. Check local buy-nothing groups on Facebook or apps like FreeCycle for free or low-cost items you'd otherwise buy. If you're handy, offer to fix a neighbor's fence in exchange for their old furniture. These small trades can save hundreds, freeing up cash for debt payments. Plus, they build connections, which are worth more than any material purchase. Let's dive into the emotional weight again, because it's real. Debt can make you feel like you're failing at life, especially when you're surrounded by people who seem to have it together. But comparison is a thief. Most of those perfect lives on social media are smoke and mirrors, financed by debt or propped up by circumstances you don't see. Unfollow accounts that trigger envy or inadequacy. Curate your feed with people who inspire your journey. Check out creators like the Budgetnista or Debt-Free Millennials for practical tips and motivation. Surround yourself with reminders that you're not alone and that progress, not perfection, is the goal. One practical way to stay motivated is to gamify your debt payoff. Create a challenge. Pay off $1,000 in 90 days, or cut your grocery bill by 20% for a month. Track your progress with a chart or app, and reward yourself with freebies. A picnic in the park, a movie from the library. If you're competitive, rope in a friend or partner for a debt sprint. Whoever pays off the most in 6 months gets bragging rights. Or maybe a homemade dinner. These games make the grind feel less like punishment and more like a quest. Let's talk about big debts again, because they're often the scariest. If you're drowning in student loans, look beyond forgiveness programs. Income-driven repayment plans can lower your monthly bill, but they stretch out the term, meaning more interest over time. If you can swing it, pay more than the minimum to chip away at the principal. For private loans, refinancing is still a solid option in 2025, with rates as low as 3–4% for borrowers with good credit. Just read the fine print. Some lenders charge origination fees that eat into your savings. For mortgages, consider biweekly payments instead of monthly ones. Paying half your mortgage every 2 weeks equals one extra payment a year, cutting your loan term without feeling like a huge sacrifice. Medical debt deserves another mention, because it's a uniquely American nightmare. If you're hit with a bill, don't let it sit. Hospitals often offer discounts for prompt payment or financial hardship. Ask for an itemized bill. Errors are common and can inflate costs by thousands. If you're uninsured, negotiate the cash pay rate, which can be 50% lower than the billed amount. Nonprofits like $for can help you apply for hospital charity care, which can wipe out bills entirely if you qualify. If the debt's already in collections, don't panic. Settle for less if you can pay up front, and get any agreement in writing. Let's touch on investing again, because it's a hot topic. The stock market in 2025 is volatile, but long-term investing is still one of the best ways to build wealth post-debt. If you're torn between investing and paying off low-interest debt, like a 3% mortgage, consider a hybrid approach. Contribute enough to your 401k to get the employer match. Free money is a no-brainer. Then throw everything else at your debt. Once you're debt-free, redirect those payments into investments. A $500 monthly debt payment invested at an 8% average return could grow to over $1 million in 30 years. That's the power of being debt-free. You're not just surviving, you're building a legacy. Now, let's address the long-term mindset shift. Becoming debt-free rewires how you see money, value, and success. You start to question the buy now, pay later culture. You realize happiness doesn't come from a new car or a bigger house. It comes from freedom, security, and purpose. This shift can feel radical, even isolating, because it puts you at odds with mainstream values. Embrace it. You're not just paying off debt. You're opting out of a system that profits from your stress. You're choosing to live intentionally, to prioritize what matters over what shines. As you near the finish line, the temptation to coast can creep in. You've paid off most of your debts, and that final $5,000 feels less urgent. Don't let up. Sprint through the finish line. Throw every extra dollar at that last debt, even if it's low interest. The psychological boost of hitting zero is worth more than any mathematical argument for keeping a manageable loan. Once you're there, celebrate, but keep it frugal. A nice dinner at home, a day trip, or a heartfelt letter to yourself acknowledging your grit. You've earned it. You did it. You stared down the beast of debt, the stress, the late nights, the sacrifices, and you won. You're not just debt-free, you're free, period. No more sleepless nights over bills. No more juggling payments or dodging collection calls. You've reclaimed your life, your choices, your future. But this isn't the end, it's a new beginning. The habits you've built, budgeting, saving, saying no to temptation, are your superpowers now. Keep them sharp. The world will keep trying to lure you back with shiny offers and easy credit, but you know better. You've seen what's possible when you take control. Your debt-free life is a blank canvas. Maybe you'll save for a dream home, start a business, or retire early to a cabin in the woods. Maybe you'll just savor the peace of knowing you're untethered, that your money is yours to use as you see fit. Whatever you choose, you've earned the right to choose it. You didn't just pay off debt. You rewrote your story. You proved that freedom isn't given, it's fought for. So keep fighting, not just for financial independence, but for a life that's yours in every sense. You're not just debt-free, you're unstoppable. Don't let debt steal another second of your life. Subscribe now for relentless strategies to obliterate your debt, reclaim your freedom, and build a future that's 100% yours.